Pretty cool.
All right, let's go to Philadelphia. The Eagles look to shore up their leaky secondary by taking Quinyon Mitchell in the first round, then snagged first-round talent Cooper DeJean when they traded up in the second round. Here's their full list, Eagles draft class. Brew. Also Jeremiah Trotter. I love that pick.
Well, that's why they did it.
I mean, what round was it? Fifth round?
That's why they did it.
I just
Legacy
love it.
pick.
I love it.
Yeah,
Brew, do you think Philly won the draft?
I think Chicago won the draft, getting Caleb and then getting the receiver, Dunze. But I think they had a great draft. I mean, what was their problem? Defense. That was the problem. You got the best cornerback in the draft. And then DeJean, I mean, I think DeJean is underrated. Like, I think he's going to be good. I think because he's a white defensive back,
I mean,
people
yes.
are underrated.
That is correct.
Yeah.
But
I think he's going to be good. So I love, and Trotter, we'll see, but I love what they did defensively. And I think also last year we know the problem was the supernatural funk.
No, we don't know that.
We don't know where it came from.
You just say it.
Would you admit they are entering this season with great vibes?
Why?
Because they've re-upped A.J. Brown.
Their issues were Jalen Hurts was injured, and they had an awful OC and an awful DC. Both gone. Both no longer the coordinators. They had two great coordinators, their OC, DC, who left and got head coaching jobs. So the defense struggled and the offense struggled. The literal play caller for the last couple of years who helped get the Eagles to the Super Bowl, Shane Steichen, was out the door. That is a massive deal. Calling plays in the NFL is not easy. Don't take my word for it. Take Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman literally said it during the playoff game of the Eagles versus Tampa. And he said one of the biggest issues with the Eagles is play calling. And he said, he goes, with all due respect to the Philadelphia's OC, it is not an easy job. And, it's not something that he's succeeding in. And when Shane Steichen left, Shane Steichen, has clearly proven to be an elite OC and play caller, which isn't always necessarily the same thing. So that is what happened. That is a huge issue. So there wasn't this supernatural funk. And so, yes, there is a tremendous amount of optimism going into this next season. No question.
They extended him.
Yep.
Devontae Smith, they got a good draft with defensive. They got two new coordinators.
CJ
The
Gardner
vibes
Johnson
are
back?
great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Another thing I want to point out, you want to talk about vibes? The Eagles signed their weapons. They picked up a great elite running back in Saquon. They signed A.J. Brown. They signed, Devontae. Like, they're not dealing with the nonsense that the Cowboys are dealing with. Of, I don't know, who are we going to keep, who are we not going to keep. They're not dealing with what the Bills dealt with, where they had to Diggs said, get me out of here. They're not dealing with what the Cincinnati Bengals did, where they're having a problem with T. Higgins. They're not dealing with, dare I say, the Kansas City Chiefs, where their wide receiver almost unalived someone in a high-speed race and then left the crime scene. Okay? So they're not dealing with off-the-field criminal cases that should be convicted felonies. No ifs, ands, or buts. So yeah, the Eagles feel pretty good about having their house in order. Does that mean that they're going to win a Super Bowl? I have no idea. I'm not telling you the Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl and they should be favored to win a Super Bowl. Although I'm seeing, it says NFC odds. They have the third best odds, which I think is fair. But to act like that there's no optimism or that they don't have their house in order is absurd. Nick Wright is such a hater in that regard. It's just like, it becomes difficult, because I love this show, obviously, but it becomes difficult to listen to Nick talk about other teams, just about a lot of teams in general, because anything he says about the Kansas City Chiefs is obviously incredibly biased and just a homer. And then when he says about other teams that he doesn't like that are threatened, that threaten the Chiefs, whether it be the Bills, the Ravens, the Texans, the Eagles, the 49ers, it's just, he just puts cement shoes on them and tries to throw them in the ocean.
They are great in Philly. They're winning the division.
Right, so,
they are definitely winning that division.
So here's the thing. I love both of their first two picks. I thought they might take DeJean in the first round, as you mentioned. I think I had a mock to them in one of the mocks in the first round. They got him in the second round. And I think Quinyon Mitchell's either, You can make an argument he's the best corner in the draft. Some people say Terry and Arnold, but I think they got 2 of the 3 best defensive backs in the draft. Those are needs. So I think that's true. I also think this is true. Their GM, Howie Roseman, and maybe this is smart, tends to be, his draft mimics the consensus media big boards more than any other GM, which is why every year people are like, Howie did it again, because he's doing what the media big boards would have done. He even said in his press conference after the 3rd-round pick, Jalix Hunt, pardon me, that, man, I almost texted Daniel Jeremiah asking him to take him off his best available list because I didn't want someone else to draft him. I was like, Howie, I'm not sure if other GMs are really scouring Daniel Jeremiah, because here's what we don't do as much. Because I think he's sharp GM, and I think trading back is smart, and
It's unbelievable that he's trying to now bring down Howie Roseman, who is considered to be one of the best GMs in the NFL, and they praise him because he's made unbelievable moves over the years, undeniably, and in the last 20 years, the Eagles have the 2nd most playoff wins, second to only the dynasty of the New England Patriots. That matters. They won a Super Bowl with a backup quarterback, got rid of the quarterback, got rid of the coach, got rid of the coordinators, got rid of the entire team except for a few players, and then like 4 or 5 years later, they go back to another Super Bowl with a completely different quarterback. One, when they drafted, a lot of people had issues with. Why did you waste a pick when you have Carson Wentz? Why did you do that? Turned out to be the right move. And a completely different head coach and different coordinators, and they got to the Super Bowl and were a play away from winning that Super Bowl. They lost to potentially who's going to be the best quarterback in the history of the world, and Andy Reid, the best coach. So losing to them is, not losing any sleep over. So what are you talking about? Howie Roseman consistently builds great teams. So it's unbelievable how he just wants to yank everyone down to elevate the Kansas City Chiefs. You can elevate the Kansas City Chiefs. You can talk about how you think that they're the best team and that they're the best at all that type of stuff. You don't have to pull everyone else out. If you have to cut everyone else down to elevate yourself, that's just sad.
I think getting extra draft picks are smart. But a lot of the picks that we have talked about, wow, this guy was the 9th player on everyone's board and he went 30th. Those didn't work out. Like, if you go back and look at it, it's like Keely Ringo, Nakobe Dean. Last year, he got Nolan Smith at 30. Howie did it again. Anybody heard from him? Jordan Davis, they got him at 12. He's been okay.
Lots of picks don't work out.
Andre Dillard
for every single GM.
We know Jalen Reagor, 1 pick in front of Justin Jefferson. So I don't know that he's as great as we all think the day after the draft when it comes to picking the players. I do think he's great at acquiring extra value by trading down and, getting surplus picks and that stuff. But there are a lot of guys that slide, and then the Eagles pick them, and then the media's like, well, I thought that guy was better than that, so he gets an A+. That does tend to happen a lot.
No, okay. You want to point out failures. Literally every single GM fails. Every single draft has more failures than successes. So this is a clown take, quite honestly. I knew he was gonna be hard on the Eagles because he always is, and he loves it. I think he does it for clicks because the Eagles have an incredibly intense fan base, right? One of the top fan bases in all of sports, but especially the NFL. And they're definitely quite lively on the internet. And so for him, if he can hate on a team and have everyone jump in the comments and all the Eagles fans be like, you're a hater, you're a hater, you're a hater, thumbs down. It's engagement, it drives clicks, it drives views, and you get that money. But I just think, you're going to hate on one of the most successful franchises of the last 20 years, and now you're going to try to cut down Howie, because you think it's just one of those things that he just always wants to go against the grain because it is an actual legitimate technique to get views, right? It's partly why he said the Lakers are going to win in 6, because everyone else on TV is saying the Nuggets are going to win. So when you now see in a title, Nick Wright says Lakers will win in 6, people are like, what? I'm not hearing that. Click. And so that's his technique. That is the secret sauce to Nick Wright. And I think it's sad. And to me, it gets increasingly more difficult to take his takes seriously. It's not as entertaining. Like, this is where I rather listen to Mangini, even Greg Jennings. I like Colin Cowherd gives way more, more clear analysis of that, and then any of the other guests that he may have. It's just, it just seems kind of low class to me, quite honestly. And he does this with lots of teams. It's the teams that he likes, he elevates, whether it's Dallas, for some reason he loves Dallas, probably because they have a massive fan base, quite honestly. And he knows if he's pro Dallas, he gets that fan base on his side, which is more views, more clicks, more followers, more subscribers. He's very strategic in that regard. And then the fan bases that now go up against the Chiefs, he gets to antagonize them. And they hate him, and yet they will watch him just to hate on him. And yeah, to me, I just see right through it. And hopefully you do too. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. How do you think the Philly did in the draft? And just as in the offseason as a whole? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.